If you love Paul Harvey stories and the rest of the story, subscribe now. Warren was not yet 30 and already a wealthy man. The source of his wealth was drugs. Warren was a drug lord, one of the big fish. Many years in the business had hardened him, had prepared him for almost anything until today. He and some drug trafficker partners are standing outside their establishment. They hear a commotion. They see this procession coming down the street heading their way. As it passes, they plainly observe the authorities are dragging one of their best clients behind them. The fellow appears pretty badly beaten up, and behind them an accumulating crowd is following. They're all moving toward the town square, where public punishment is administered. Warren and his colleagues join the crowd for a closer look. In moments, they're all standing in the square. The senior official pronounces sentence. He says the prisoner has been found guilty of drug dealing. As a warning to his suppliers and to others like him, he's going to be tied to a wooden cross and strangled to death immediately. Well, an anxious murmuring sweeps through the crowd. Warren looks at his partner, Bill Hunter, and whispers, "What do we do now?" Something like this could be disastrous for their drug business. It could scare off clients and drones. What do we do now? So Warren's friend Bill steps forward, publicly, loudly protesting the execution. The authorities, incredulous, shout, "Seize that man!" But now the crowd is divided, and a riot erupts. Warren barely escapes with his wife, and nobody even remembers whether the condemned man was spared, because it all happened so long ago. But this is the rest of the story. In 1833, a young American in his 20s left home, sailed for China, determined to make his fortune there and return home rich. He quickly decided the opium trade. And that's how Warren became a drug lord, one of the most important in Canton. Oh, he knew it was immoral, reprehensible. He knew its impact on the Chinese people was degrading, devastating. And yet, at the same time, he justified drug trafficking by comparing it to the importation of alcoholic beverages into the United States. He convinced himself that it was no worse than importing alcohol. So Warren imported opium. He supplied it to the proprietors of opium dens. And when the authorities started cracking down, he somehow managed to elude them. The story of this condemned opium den proprietor, the story that I have just related, was perhaps Warren's closest call during his 9 years in China. But even then, even after Warren got rich and came home to enjoy his wealth, he would later return to China and again return to the opium trade. Today, probably nobody would care, except that Warren, the American who once was to China what Colombian drug lords now are to us, Warren Delano, one day would have a grandchild named Franklin Delano Roosevelt.